The storm system is now developing. Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for being part of Snow Bros here on YouTube. It is this system that Matt and I have been watching right through here, now developing. I do expect some higher totals, parts of the Northeast. We're going to zoom down. We'll go over the ice totals, the snow totals. There's so much to cover in this video, and we're just here to give you the facts. It's a non-hype channel. We just want to show you simply what is going to happen with this system to best help keep you covered. Now, expansive ice, we don't throw around this term too much, but you could see for yourself how expansive this ice is going to be. Just incredible coverage of ice, and that is a huge concern, especially with the Arctic blast that is also moving in. That's kind of been put on the back burner, I know, by some other entities. That is very critical in this because as we lose power in spots, it is going to be so cold. We'll go into those temperatures as well in this video. Again, safety the first priority. Here's some of the coverage of ice just to give you a feel. And look at that in Dallas. We could see upwards, even over towards Shreveport, of ½ of an inch of ice accumulations. What we're going to do in this video is zoom down state by state, city by city with the ice, doing our best to keep everyone covered and give you those fresh updates. The snow, we could see some higher totals. New England, we are going to zoom down for us in New England, back through the Northeast, across the Mid-Atlantic, right on the edge of the rain and snow, some spots upwards of 1 foot of snow. We're going to put out additional updates. If you are subscribed to this channel, you'll get those updates first. Now, let's take a look at the setup. Let me show you how it develops, and then we'll start to zoom down. So we're watching this system today. There's the snow, Oklahoma. Very heavy snow, huge snow parts of Oklahoma. There's some of the icing. Dallas, we are right on the edge of it as this develops. This taps into that moisture feed coming across the Baja off of the Pacific. It's amazing how the weather is tied together on such a big scale. This here is by tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, snow, Tennessee, parts of Arkansas, back through Oklahoma. There's some of the icing right in there. And then you see here as the bulk of this starts to move toward the Atlanta area, still on the backside, additional rain, snow, New Mexico, Texas, back through Oklahoma, but right in through here, that icing. And then this starts to pivot up toward the Mid-Atlantic as we work our way into Sunday morning. This is Sunday morning. Atlanta, we're going to be on the edge of this. It is simply a close call. We tell you what we know and what we don't know. It's really hard to tell in the Atlanta metro area how much icing we'll see, or if we'll see a little bit more rain, but we need to be prepared for the icing. Then by the time we get into Sunday, that significant snow, parts of Kentucky, clipping by Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, some heavier snow right through New England. New England, the heaviest snow in spots will be as we work our way into Sunday night. And then parts of Maine, not leaving anyone out in New England, watching Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then right through the Atlantic region of Canada, which we also cover on this channel. We'll be watching that again. Southern sections clipping by Newfoundland, for example, as we work our way into Monday. Now, let's start to zoom down. And we're going to zoom down a lot in this video because it's important what's happening. This here is jumping ahead. So this is Saturday afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, there's the snow swinging into West Virginia right there. You can see Charleston, Dunbar, south on the edge of it. There's the icing near Raleigh, Charlotte, watching that. Over toward Wake Forest, swinging back northern sections of South Carolina, a wintry mix through Tennessee, Atlanta on the edge, and then the snow starts to spill over the DC metro area. This is Sunday morning, some heavier snow. Annapolis, Fairfax, pick your spot. Fredericksburg, we're going to be on the edge of it, another close call area. And then watching Delmarva, big mix here. Southern sections of New Jersey, we're going to see a little bit of mix, icing possible, some sleet, but heavier snow back through parts of Pennsylvania, then working its way into Connecticut through the day on Sunday. Long Island, heavier snow. So New Jersey, look at that mix. Got you covered in New Jersey. New York City, heavy snow Sunday night. Rhode Island, watching over toward the Cape and the Islands, Boston. And then you can see the tail end of this, and you see that rain that's in through here. Brighter colors, could see some of that sleet. There could actually be some thunder snow in this as well. And then as we work our way into Monday morning, we'll still see some of the snow clipping by parts of New England, kind of on the backside of it, I should say, and then starting to pivot its way back toward Nova Scotia as we work our way in through Monday, watching over toward the Maritimes. Now, here's a zoom down look. Boston, Providence, New Bedford, the Cape, the Islands, Hartford, Glastonbury, over toward Manchester, New York, swinging back toward the Brooklyn area. Here's Philly, over toward Westchester, get back toward Dover, Salisbury. This here is by Sunday, midday. What a mess. Philly Philly swinging back toward DC. Here's some of the icing. Richmond, we're going to be on the edge of that. New Jersey, it is snow at least to start, but southern New Jersey, Stone Harbor, for example, we could be switching over to some sleet or just some of that ice right in through here. This is where we're on the edge of it. DC, we may flip back over. That'll limit some of the totals if sleet is working in, but there's that snow really picking up. Very heavy Sunday night. The Cape, the Islands, Worcester, Springfield, swinging all the way back through Scranton, Dunmore. Philly still seeing the snow. We're still in the snow. Albany, New York. Keeping an eye on Syracuse and Rochester as well. Then overnight Sunday night, the snow is heavy, swinging back through Boston, Falmouth, Bourne, New Bedford, over toward Cumberland, North Attleboro, back through Hartford, still seeing the snow, watching New Haven, New London, and then by Monday morning it starts to depart. Southern Maine, though, parts of New Hampshire, we'll cover this. We don't leave anyone out. We'll cover this with the snow totals. Eventually that will be moving away as we work our way into Monday. So let's get to the snow totals, the ice totals, and the incredible cold that we're going to see back behind it. So we'll cover that as well. Hang with me. This here gives you kind of that broad brush that we're going to see. This here is through Monday, getting a look at some of the snow totals to kind of give you a feel. You could orient yourself. Boston, we're looking at about a foot. Now the snow ratio looks to be a fluffier snow because of the cold air. That's why Matt and I kind of raised some of those totals just a couple of inches. I know some of the other entities, other channels are making it seem like everyone in the whole world is going to get 2 feet out of this. That is just not the case, but the snow totals will be significant in some of these locations. So let's zoom down even further. Let me swing down to the south. This here is just difficult. It is difficult. Some spots will be expecting maybe 5-6 inches of snow and get a whole lot of nothing. That's how it goes with this system. It is a fine line, and that's what Matt and I try to point out right through southern New Jersey, as I mentioned, back through Delmarva over toward Virginia, right on the line where we could start as snow, switch over, finish as snow. That could limit some of the totals, but it'll be a sloppy mess. Over toward DC, we're looking at about 7 inches of some of the snow. Here's a zoom down look. We get back through, keeping an eye, as I mentioned earlier, southern Maine for the better chance of getting some of the snow. We get back toward Manchester into New Hampshire, looking at about 9 inches, 11.5 as we work our way into Boston. We don't just look at the models. Matt and I will lean on a model, we'll find the best one. The American was better, but then we kind of tell you the nuances with it. We really look at the environment. So if we're picking a model, that's because we really believe that that one is handling this system better. This is not only the European, it's a version of the European model. So we're looking at about 10.5 in New Bedford. We get over toward Newport, so we're swinging back toward, say, Salve. We'll see upwards of about 10 inches. Now, New London, New Haven, Bridgeport, with some of the sleet mixing in, that could eventually limit some of the totals. Hartford, Waterbury looking at about 10 inches. We get back through New York, looking at anywhere from 6, 7, 8 inches of some of that snow. I may have said rain earlier. This, of course, all snow. Patterson, though, we swing just back toward, say, Summit, upwards of about 9 inches. Long Island, we'll see that switch over at times. That could limit some of the snow totals, maybe about 5, 6 inches of snow. Watching over toward Uniondale, for example. Now, we swing back through here to give you that broad brush. I mentioned those really high totals. Panhandle of Texas, and then back through Oklahoma. OKC, we could see upwards of a foot of snow, maybe 12, 13, 14 inches of snow back through here. Of course, this is that line where there's also going to be some of the additional icing, but watching those snow totals, that will be significant. So picking a spot on the map where you are. Here's a closer look as we swing back toward parts of Missouri. I mentioned southern Illinois, southern Indiana, Ohio, often kind of overlooked with this system, but a swath of snow in here, anywhere from about 7 to 11 inches. Louisville, we could pick up 11 inches. Charleston, West Virginia, will be on the edge of it at times. We may switch back over. That 4 is probably a little bit low. It may be a little bit higher in Charleston. So West Virginia, this may be underdone. Snow could be a little bit higher than that. We could be looking at more of half a foot, but it is tricky. Fredericksburg, right around 6, 7 inches of rain, same thing, or snow rather, same thing in Richmond, but this is the edge of it. It could easily bump up to 9. It could easily go down to 3. Again, just simply not sure on that, and we won't be sure on that the entire time right through this sector, including Norfolk, Roanoke, and then we could see a switch over of rain. Again, days ago, Norfolk, it looked like it could be a foot of snow if this system took its southern track, but we're seeing it taking more more of that northern route. Then we swing back here again. We get back through. Here's Maine, Vermont. We get over toward New Hampshire. We're keeping an eye on sections of New York for that bigger snow in through here. You see Augusta, really extreme southern Maine, about 6 inches of some snow to the north, not a whole lot. And then clipping by parts of Nova Scotia. The heaviest snow should stay to the south for the most part, or at least the higher totals, that potential totals to the south of parts of Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, keeping an eye on Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. But the icing, just crazy amounts, just the coverage so expansive. And this is coupled with the cold air. That's the issue. With this icing, widespread power outages, right? So we lose power, a lot of locations losing heat, and then that cold air is in place, and it's in place for days, which we'll cover in a second. But here's some of the ice accumulation. To see it upwards of 1/2 an inch in spots, those are incredible amounts of ice that is going down tree branches, trees that could eventually, and I don't say this in an alarming way, but could come down onto homes, onto power lines. That's what we're preparing for in this zone. And the problem is this area of significant icing that we could see watching the Carolinas. Here's Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Maybe it shifts a little bit more to the north, maybe a little bit more to the south. I mentioned Atlanta, simply just on the edge of it. Keeping an eye on Mississippi here, especially northern and central sections, northern Alabama for some of the icing. Not seeing any of this dipping down toward Florida. And with this system that has shifted a little bit more to the north, we need to keep an eye on the icing. I mentioned New Jersey, Long Island, where we may switch over a little bit. Maybe it's just sleet, which wouldn't be as bad, but we could get a little bit of icing in here watching over toward Philly. So monitoring that as well, just depending on the overall track of this. Now that cold blast is going to move in. This is by tomorrow morning. Temperatures, I know, a little hard to see. Get over toward Springfield, Worcester. We may be right around 0 tomorrow morning. And then that cold air, this Arctic blast is really going to be holding deep into the south. Look at tomorrow morning around Dallas, 26, 27 degrees. That is it. Oklahoma City, we're at about 6, 7, 8 degrees. That's it, that Arctic blast. So we're going to lose power in spots. And then we have this really cold air in place. Huge concern for people that need to be in shelters. And of course, with the ice, you got to be in those shelters, those cold weather shelters ahead of time in spots. Emergency officials, no doubt, are handling that. So Matt and I are going to have more updates throughout the day. So again, subscribers, you'll get alerted first. Storm system, it is forming today. Power loss down trees, we just talked about that. The bigger snow as we work our way back toward parts of the Northeast, and that fine line between not a whole lot and significant impacts, that is going to be with us. Virginia seems to be one of those markers of we could have heavy snow up toward Loudoun County, Fairfax, and not a whole lot as we work our way south of Richmond back toward the Tidewater. Massive coverage of the ice and the extreme cold. So Matt and I have you covered. Thank you for being part of this weather community. Thousands of new subscribers. Thank you for being one of them. Be safe. Have a good morning ahead.